Hello and welcome. I'm Laura Truba.
And I'm Paxton Blasey, reporting for Trojan TV News out of Kansas City, Missouri, home of the greatest barbecue in the United States. But you know what? That's a story for another time.
However, I'm not so sure about the weather patterns in Dallas, but in eccentric weather, it can go from being sunny and 70 one day to windy and snowing the next. Let's go to Jordan Colson with more on weather anomalies.
Hey guys, I'm Jordan here with your weather report. We've definitely been having a lot of eccentric weather these last couple weeks. If we start off with Minnesota, they've been experiencing 20 to 35 degrees above average temperatures. And if we move over to Portland and Seattle, they've been experiencing snow. To a very tragic story, a high school in Indiana a couple weeks ago was ripped to shreds by a huge tornado that had a multi-vortex. We have not experienced a multi-vortex tornado since last year in Joplin, Missouri. So definitely make sure your thoughts are going out to those families and high school students, and hopefully we can get that high school rebuilt here quickly. And moving on to some floodwaters right here in Dallas, they've been experiencing floodwaters for the last couple days. Some areas have been experiencing up to 5 inches and above. That is definitely not normal for this time of the year, but we'll keep experiencing some of these floodwaters for the next couple days until Friday. If we move on to the Kansas City area back home, right now we're experiencing some beautiful weather. They've got some highs right now at KCI Airport and the Park Hill High School of 60 degrees. And as we move northeast towards St. Joe, they're going to have a high of 59. And as you go south towards the Plaza area, you're going to have a high of 58 degrees. And going west towards the Legends area, you're also going to have a high of 59. They've got some beautiful weather out there, but it's funny because they're also in a flood warning until this Thursday. And now let's look ahead at our 3-day weather forecast right here in Dallas. Tomorrow we're going to have a high of 69, a low of 49. We will have that sunshine out, but we'll also have those storm clouds because we still will be in a flood warning effect. And on Friday we'll finally be clearing up that flood warning. We'll have a high of 77, a low of 55. That sunshine will be out again. And on Saturday we're going to have a beautiful day with a high of 83, a low of 58. Make sure you get out there and enjoy these final days of sunshine. But that's all I got for you today. Back to you guys.
Driving around in this magnificent weather requires a magnificent car. But there might be a little more to the story. Some car dealers attempt to create a reality completely unique to the individual. Let's look at my experience in the whimsical and occasionally confusing world of cars.
The Chevy Volt, the Ford 4x4, the Nissan 370Z, and the Jeep Wrangler are some of the best-known cars of their companies, and can stand aside to showcase the ingenuity of their companies at the Dallas Auto Show.
What I do is I put you inside a virtual Ford. So my official title is Virtual Reality Technical Specialist, but what that means is I put you inside the Ford that's virtual, and then I give you all kinds of physical touch points that make sense so that when you're in the virtual data, you feel things to make it seem like you're sitting in that vehicle. And then we cheat reality, and so that's like our big thing. So, and it is slightly off-center what we do. But the way we cheat reality is we'll do any evaluation that could possibly help us make your experience as a customer better.
I asked the Chevy product specialist to describe her job at the show.
Here at the Dallas Show, I am working as a product specialist as well as a presenter. So what I do is I answer questions about the vehicle. A consumer comes in, when you come to an auto show, you have a number of questions. And here at Chevrolet, we offer a grand selection of solutions, whether or not you're looking for a small and economy size vehicle, or maybe you're looking for a full-size SUV. The consumer comes here because they have questions, and as a product specialist, I give them answers. And that way, when or if they decide to go to a dealership, they have the upward advantage because they can walk in knowing exactly what they're looking for.
Among the classics, there were a few eccentric cars standing out from the crowd. But one to me seemed to stand out just a little bit farther.
Okay, what we have here on display is the Camaro. Now this is a patriotic design, and this is all hand airbrush. Now the designer is Mickey Harris, and this is a tribute to the wars that have been fought in our country. It's a salute.
And we salute the Dallas Auto Show for their showcase of eccentric cars and new ideas in a dazzling display. I'm Paxton Ablasi reporting for Trojan TV News.
You walk, run, drive, or even take the train system around Dallas, you're sure to see a mixture of new and old buildings with the JFK memorials and even this beautiful convention center we're sitting in right now. There's a meshing of multiple generations, cultures, and even the architect's own style. Let's go to Otto Geiser with more.
I traveled to Dallas halfway expecting backwards architecture and a cowboy on every street corner. I was happily surprised by their kind-hearted manner and vast amounts of eccentric buildings, and even got a chance to sit down with a concrete architect, usually an overlooked but important role in the construction of these buildings.
I like being involved in the projects that are kind of high scale that everybody sees and is familiar with, like Cowboy Stadium or the High-Five Interchange, and highway systems, things that everybody can relate to and sees, and it's kind of cool to say that, yeah, I was part of that, in the structural design of it, or being on the site when the concrete was placed and being a part of it. I think that's one of the things that I really enjoy and can talk about to people that are outside the industry that seem to become more interested when you can personally tell them about it and your experience.
Dallas does not just consist of these modern buildings, but it also has a rich supply of classic buildings, best represented by the county courthouse.
We do have some interesting creatures up on the roof called gargoyles. 2 of those are original from 1892. And instead of calling them gargoyles, we look for the more specific definition, which is a wyvern. 2 legs, 2 wings, a pointy tail, and they breathe plague and pestilence on you. We have turrets, the round corners of the building. If you look on the first floor, there's 1 window. The second floor has 2. The 4th floor has 4, the 5th floor has 5, and the 3rd floor has none, which is an oddity. We always wonder what that is, but since we have no records of what the building was originally from plans or blueprints, we don't really know why the 3rd floor has none.
As soon as I came across the building, I was suddenly struck with the question of whether or not it was haunted.
Interestingly enough, we recently had a group of ghost hunters in that came in and spent the night, and according to them, there are things that they could sense. They came and brought 3 mediums with them, as well as some instruments, and it was quite entertaining. Nothing definite yet, and they haven't gotten back with us on the findings, but legend has it that there are parts that might be.
These pestilence and death-bringing creatures would be happy to know of the fate of their former owner of the land they were built on.
This did open in 1892 as the 6th courthouse, the tallest building in Dallas then, but it was on the corner of a gentleman's cornfield. He was required to donate some land and didn't want to disturb his corn crops, so he gave them the corner of it. Later, he did die in an insane asylum, but did donate the land, and here the courthouse still stands.
Whether it's a new glass and concrete building or an old-fashioned stone courthouse, both add to the diverse and eccentric skyline of Dallas. From Trojan TV News, I'm Otto Geiser signing off.
Concentric, the basis of commonality. Eccentric, that's that one little thing we see when we look at a person and realize, wow, you really are your own person. And it's important to realize that we all have something, that special something, that different little thing. And it could be a little quirk or a magnificent talent. Something makes us stand out in a crowd. But what's yours?
Well, I think one thing about myself is I'm always smiling. So that's what I get from a lot of people, is that I smile a lot. But that's part of who I am, and that's part of also I'm a people person. So I like to speak to people, I like to get to know people. So I think that's a part of it.
Probably be attitude. Right. So if you have a good, strong, positive attitude or just plain crazy, you'll stand out in a crowd.
I would probably say I'm a nice guy and I smile a lot.
I have no idea.
Really?
Yeah.
Why is that?
I just don't know. Old, I guess.
Crazy.
Why crazy?
I don't know. Because that's what everybody thinks I am.
Okay. My one question for you is, what's your name?
Willie.
Willie? All right. My second question for you is,
You said one question.
when your friends
That's
think
all.
of Willie, what is the first thing that comes to their mind?
Think. Mean.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't
I
think
said anybody ask me 2 questions, I'm mean.
Thank you, Willie.
You're welcome.
All right. What's your favorite thing to do? Do you know? What's your favorite thing?
Good luck getting
honor to talk.
All right, give me some skin.
High five?
No.
Authoritative. Because I'm always in charge. How's that? 10 words or less, right?
Going. I like to have fun. That's the one thing that comes to mind, I guess.
Wow. See, it's crazy because it's a lot. So to put it all in the nutshell, humbleness. Humbleness. I'm a very humble guy.
Right in the heart of Dallas and the amazing people who live here lies a place like no other. The spirit transcending through the culture of Deep Ellum is plainly visible. The love and eccentricity of this community and its residents is not only unique, but it touches you in a wonderful way. Here are the stories of the streets of Deep Ellum.
Oh my goodness!
The community of Deep Ellum steps beyond boundaries of normalcy. Happiness is the focus, and finding joy in daily life is their ultimate satisfaction.
There's real true essence of love and happiness. And when you find a community that accepts it and appreciates it, then you've stepped outside of yourself and accepted a lot of things around you that nurture and take care of you.
Al Jernigan, also known as Sweetheart, has created a community throughout art and musical culture that provides a unique flavor to Dallas.
And we're over here in this area. It was called South and East Dallas, I believe. And nobody had done nothing. We had nothing on the streets. And I said, why in the world can't we get some plants or get something going on? I said, I'll be glad to step aside and let you put it together, but I want it to be called Deep Ellum.
It's pretty much face value. It's right out there for you to just soak up and enjoy. And, you know, what I would have to say is live good, live strong, and live right, and everything's going to be all right.
Deep Ellum fosters eccentric personalities, allowing them to shine bright in a place like this.
My first marriage, I was a biker chick. And and I also modeled here in Dallas, and that was a long time ago. I was a / model / biker chick. But I've always been interested in art, and so for the last zillions of years I've been making sculpture and handmade tile for people. But I've always been interested in restoring vintage furniture, and I love Deep Ellum, so I ended up back here in Deep Ellum.
I play traditionally roots-based, blues, soul, country, folk, those are my primary passions. But then again, I'm trying to integrate synthesizers and technology into it. Being born in the 80s, I think there's this kind of dichotomy. It's like so many people, it's like the 80s has almost become a retro act. You see people trying to sound like the 80s, and it is what it is.
Everything from the different arts to the soothing sounds of blues resonates within the bold streets of Deep Ellum.
Blues, heritage to the Deep Ellum area, which is very cool, and more people than not would be surprised by how much heritage there is with the blues in the South in general. Blues is like barbecue. There's dialectical differences. You get different blues if you go to Alabama or Kentucky. The blues there is different than blues in Missouri, which is different than blues in Texas. There's dialectical and regional differences. I think, in barbecue sauce and blues and music, and that's the beautiful thing. Not one of it's right, it's just different takes on the same thing.
What stands out the most about the people in Deep Ellum is the fact that, regardless of eccentric differences in backgrounds, this town has bonded them in a way like family.
Oh, ma'am, it's my entire life.
Proud Americans, you see that? I mean, just riding by, big waves, lots of love. That's what the world's about. You got to have lots of love and respect for people.
It's a tight-knit community, and we're all looking out for each other, too. If I have trouble, I can go next door, and the people that have the bar come over here if there's some, people in here bugging me or something, but that didn't happen very often. Thank goodness.
People here, there's a certain essence that comes along with Deep Ellum that until you are a part of it, you can't understand it. You just got to be, it brings you back into harmony with what truly matters and is important in this world.
After an amazing day in Dallas, it's time for us to sign off. I'm Laura Truba.
And I'm Paxton Blasi. Onward and upward. I'm Paxton.
Welcome to the Southside Scoop. I'm Sung Ha.
And I'm Zach Ricketson. We took the Southside Scoop to a very big city in one of the largest states.
That's right, Zach. We are in Dallas.
Yes, we are, Sung. And I heard you got to catch up with the big man in Dallas.
I did. I got to catch up with Mayor Mike Rawlings to see what's going on here in Dallas. First of all, Mr. Mayor, thank you so much for taking your time out to talk to us today. They say everything's bigger in Texas, but specifically, what's big in Dallas?
You know, I think the most amazing thing that's big in Dallas is our attitude. I've been here for 35 years, and it's a city of opportunity, and you can do big things here.
What are some big city projects that are going on right now?
We're opening up a city arts complex, or city arts building that is going to round out the largest contiguous arts complex in the world, between opera, symphony, theater, sculpture garden, Museum of Fine Arts. Nobody's got this big, which is really big. We're going to be opening up a children's garden that's going to be the biggest in the country at the Arboretum. And downtown's going through a renaissance. So we've got all those huge projects in the most difficult times that the United States of America has faced since the Great Depression. So there are a lot of big projects, and I think it's driven by that big attitude.
Are there any other things that you wish to improve on in the future?
You know, I think to continue to be a great city, we're going to have to deal with the toughest issue that I think the whole United States faces, but in particular we face it here, and that is our education system. We have the #1 public high school in the United States of America in the city of Dallas, according to Washington Post and U.S. News and World Report. So if you want to send your kid to a public high school and you want it to be the best one, you can send it to Dallas. But we do not have, we're not turning out the college ready kids that we need to. Only 12%, according to ACT and SAT, are ready for college. That's way too low. So we've got a crisis now that we're going to work hard at to make sure that we give every kid an opportunity to have a great education and challenge them that they can do better and get them ready for college. So that's our biggest issue that we're facing in Dallas.
Is it true that you were once the CEO of Pizza Hut?
It is true.
How does it feel to be the big man of a food industry and now a big man of a city?
Well, you know, it's funny. Being the CEO of Pizza Hut, you were very, very important amongst a small group of people across the United States. So kids loved Pizza Hut, and so you were hot stuff. That you were that. Not everybody knew you, and a lot of people didn't care about Pizza Hut. Now I'm an important individual, not across the United States, but in the city of Dallas, and much deeper relationship.
Well, it looks like Dallas is definitely one of those go big or go home kind of cities.
It is, and we're not planning to go home.
Dallas is home to the largest urban arts district in the nation. Our very own Rachel Schischler covers all 19 blocks and 68 acres.
With big sculptures, big ideas, and big crowds, the Dallas Art District never leaves a canvas blank.
So we're just a really vibrant building with a lot of things always going on, and we're really reaching out to our community and trying to bring them into the museum, but going out to them as well.
And by reaching out to the community, someone of any age can take away from the experience.
If they get excited enough, some of them, it's their first experience in a museum, which is really kind of cool. And they get excited about certain pieces of art and may want to come back.
And many do come back, taking more than one day to explore the cultural aspects of the nation's biggest art district.
We have a sculpture garden, which is outdoors, and then we have an encyclopedic collection. So we have everything from ancient Egypt and ancient Greece and Rome up through things that have been created in this century.
And the community can also experience a culture of generosity and belonging with the Crow collection of Asian art.
Because these were all the works of art in our permanent collection were all
works that they kept in their homes, and they were very inviting. And so they started this museum in order to expand beyond their home, obviously. So the design of it, as you walk through, you feel as though you're walking through someone's home.
Dallas Art District is always finding new ways to reach out to the community, with the Woodall-Roger Freeway becoming the bridge to the art community.
And we are hoping that more people from uptown will be heading our way for all of the events that go on and just all the fun, vibrant things that happen in our arts district.
What before was just traffic, the new park will add to the art district's beauty.
There's a children's area in the park that will have fountains. They're getting the Dallas Public Library to bring in books every day.
Go big or go home. The Dallas Art District certainly follows this motto by finding new ways to attract the community. Whether it's a new park or Asian art, Dallas is living large. Along with Savannah Wynotsky, I'm Rachel Schussler for the Southside Scoop.
Thanks for that, Rachel. Dallas is big, and we sent out our very own Hannah Turner to find out just how big it really is.
I guess it'd be more of a pride thing, not necessarily just size. Obviously, one of the biggest states in the union.
Everything's better, you know, and that we have a lot of great big things.
The food is bigger. The people are bigger. The cars are bigger.
We accept bigger people. Which means to me that, well, everything, Texas takes a lot of pride from having a lot of real big stuff that's bigger than everywhere else, I think.
Well, it means that everyone else is second. Texas, we set the standard, we set the bar on everything, so everyone being bigger, ideas are bigger, thoughts, everything, so that's what it means to me.
You've got so many different environments in Texas. You've got West Texas, South Texas, East Texas. They're all completely different places. But I'm going to have to fall back to pride. Everything is bigger in Texas.
They mean when they say everything's bigger in Texas. Everything's bigger. It's true. Everything is really bigger.
There you have it. The small town girl from Riverside, Missouri just found out what the big means in Texas.
Thanks for that, Hannah. Zach, what was that?
I'm just here for the big game, son.
You must be talking about the Mavericks vs. Lakers game tonight.
I am talking about the Mavericks vs. Lakers game, and our very own Skylar Rolstad caught up with the fans before tip-off.
Thank you, Zach and Sung. I'm out here in front of the American Airlines Center just before the big game to see LA's Pau Gasol and the rest of the LA Lakers take on the home team Dallas Mavericks and their big man Dirk Nowitzki.
This game is like any other game the Mavericks have played. However, the Mavericks have something that no other team has, and that's their huge crowd support.
I know just for the Mavericks and the Stars being located right next door, we have a pretty big fan base. We have a lot of supporters, and just seeing that the Mavs winning the national championship last year, it brought in a lot of fans, and I mean the parade and everything, we just did it big.
Many teams bring in lots of money, but Dallas does a lot bigger things than just that.
Sports are a huge attraction, bring in lots of dollars in revenue for the city actually, but more than that, it kind of brings the city together and gives them all something to rally behind, as you've seen with the Rangers over the past couple of seasons, even with the Mavericks as well.
As you can see, there are a lot of fans that are enthusiastic about sports in Dallas, but you don't have to just go to the games to see it. Many go to sports bars like Hooters, Draft Picks across the street, or Hard Rock Cafe to see the games.
Game night, we can see anywhere from, I'd say 300 to 500 people in a 2 to 3 hour period. I mean, this place gets jam-packed just in the restaurant alone, and it's just crazy down here. It's a whole nother scene.
Carrying on the tradition of things being bigger in Texas, they do it big, just the same in their sports.
But no, I guess just everything is bigger in Texas. Even with the past Super Bowl that we had here, trying to go above and beyond and do everything bigger than it's ever been done before. I would say even with just the production, even at Mavericks games, are different than other games. There's more that's put into it, more creativity behind it.
Thanks for that, Skylar.
There's some major flooding in Texas, and our very own Seth Klein has more.
Thank you for that, Zach and Sung. It is a beautiful day because the rains have left and we had this big storm over the weekend. It made a tornado in Devine, south of San Antonio, destroyed over 20 homes, but luckily nobody was killed in the incident. Let's go ahead and look at our current Doppler radar. As you can see, like I was saying, the rains have moved on. That caused some major flooding in the Trinity River area. So if you're driving through there, be careful. Watch out for those high waters as you're driving through. Now with that big storm, we have some big rain. Let's go ahead and look at how much rain we actually had. In the Dallas area, we had almost 4 inches in the University Park. We had over 4 inches, and in the Duncanville area, we had over 4.5 inches of rain. Lots of rain coming in. Great way to start off spring. And let's go ahead and look at our high lows for this day. On downtown Dallas, right around 69 degrees. We're about average all the way around in the surrounding areas. A little bit high for the lows, but we're doing pretty good. Talking about those averages, let's go actually look at the averages and some records that we've had here in Dallas. Like I was saying, 69 degrees, about average for us. For the lows, again, we're a little high, but we haven't made our mark for the record of 100 degrees that we set in 1916, and we still aren't low enough for 27 degrees in 1965. Now let's go ahead and look at our hourly forecast. 9 a.m. Little clouds there, around 53 degrees at 12 p.m. The sun's coming out, gonna have a good day, around 61 degrees. 3 p.m. the clouds are coming back a little bit with 66 degrees. Now moving on to the nighttime. Right around 6 p.m. there is a 30% chance of rain, so watch out as you're driving home. It'll be around 66 degrees, and at 9 p.m. as the Mavericks game will be starting to come out and start. It's a big game. Come out support the Mavericks as they will be playing. It'll be around 60 degrees. The rain will stop, so it'll be good driving weather as you're coming into the game. Midnight around 55 degrees with some little bit of clouds. Now let's go ahead and move on to our morning drive for tomorrow. It'll be around 49 degrees, some clouds, and a 10% chance of rain. So not really going to affect your drive in to work. Not going to make the roads wet, hopefully. But now let's look at our 3-day forecast. Big week here in Dallas. Lots of conventions coming in. So it's going to be looking good. Mainly sunny with a little bit of clouds. High of 72, low of 52 on Wednesday. And on Thursday, we're going to start out with a low of 54 and a high of 75. And on Friday, we're going to end up around high 77 and a low of 46. They're going to have a big weekend as temperatures are going to be on the rise. So have a great time. Go out and have some big fun as you're going out. That's all I got for the weather. Back to you, Zach and Sung.
Thanks for that, Seth. A huge event defines the city.
That's right, Sung. The John F. Kennedy assassination. It's a lasting memory for those in Dallas still today.
November 22nd, 1963 is one of the biggest tragedies America has experienced when it comes to our president's history. And it all happened right here at this building.
I heard it on the radio. I was at a drive-in to have lunch in Gearing, Nebraska, and it came over the radio that he had been shot. Actually, maybe by then they were telling us no. And initially he had just been shot.
It was about noon, kind of like the middle of the day, and we heard a lot of talking going on in the area where I worked. That was kind of shocked and disbelief, and there was a report that Kennedy had been shot.
And I remember the announcement coming over the PA system that the president had been shot, and in fact the president was dead.
It's one of those events I think you really remember. I was a college student in Buffalo, New York, and I just came out of my classes around noon or 1 o'clock, getting in the car to go home after classes, and then we heard the news on the radio.
So we were all sitting around kind of in shock, disbelief, trying to figure out what in the world could have happened.
At least the news that Kennedy was assassinated. I guess he was killed almost instantly.
Actually, Kennedy was the first president that I voted for, and I was just crushed. I couldn't believe it. So
we were glued to our TVs for the next 3 or 4 days as they had the various ceremonies that were part of his funeral. But it is a very sad thing to remember.
And never left the TV set for the whole weekend, because everything took place, as far as when they caught Oswald, and then when Oswald was killed, and swearing in of the new president, and that was...
The TV sets were 2 or 3 days later, and couldn't believe it.
A lot of grief because he was such a charismatic figure, and he seemed to appeal to a lot of people as a new kind of person in elected office, particularly at the presidency level.
That is one of the most unsad events that we've ever experienced. That's what I remember about it.
That was a very sad day in the lives of Americans, you know. But that's what I remember. I remember it very distinctly.
This tiny window not only made a big impact on Texas, but America as well, and we will never forget the day, November 22nd, 1963.
Thanks for that, Danny Burtis, our reporter on that story.
Well, Sung, that's all we have for the big edition of the Southside Scoop. I'm Zach Ricketts.
And I'm Sung Ha. Thank you for watching.